The average person knows full well that emotion, moods, affects, they play a major role in the way you think and you remember. Emotion, cognition, interactions is an exploding area of research, not just in cognitive psychology, but in clinical psych, in social psychology, in neuroscience, and other areas. And so that's what we're primarily focused on, is sort of the interplay between emotion and cognition. People tend to think about the world and themselves in a way that's consistent or congruent with their current mood. Even though the sort of mood congruent effect, it's very strong, and you can see it in a lot of situations. There are some cases where you don't see it, where you expect to see it, but you don't. If it's, for example, a really beautiful day out, beautiful, nice sunny day in say, spring in Vancouver, and if you walk up to someone on the street and you say to them, oddly enough, tell me your earliest childhood memory, chances are the memory they come up with is going to be a sad memory from their past. And so we're trying to understand why in those cases you get this sort of mood incongruent effect.
I'm just going to ask you to get into as pleasant a mood as possible. What I'm going to do is just play some music that people generally find helpful for getting into a pleasant mood.
We tend to use oftentimes a combination of music and imagery to try to instill or engender moods in university students for that phase of the research. We're also doing work in anesthesia. Is it possible for a deeply anesthetized, apparently unconscious person to, in some sense, remember events that take place during general anesthesia? Anecdotal stories are just replete in the literature. They've been around for eons in the anesthesia literature. Highly controversial issue. I mean, there are a number of studies where people claim they've been able to show sort of non-conscious implicit memory for things experienced during anesthesia. That's a problem we're working on.
Here is that, say, if you're walking along and you come...
The most exciting times for me, I think for any scientist in any area, is those extremely rare times when you think you've learned something new, you discovered something that you didn't know before.